You're watching Weekend at Gabe's and I'm Weekend Gabe. This latest episode was brought to you by the good folks over at the Ghetto Flower. Use our code W at G for an exclusive 15% discount when visiting their site. Tell them I sent you. Now enjoy the show.
No, absolutely. She's also the producer of Craft Beer Chicago. Hey, here she is. Hey, you back?
Did it
You with
work?
us?
We got
Now
you
we're good. Look,
Yeah,
back!
great.
Yeah!
Wi-Fi. Okay,
All right,
so it
all right.
works.
Yeah, we're
Everything's
good. We're
great. You're
good.
good. You're
Okay,
live.
I had a
You're
mini
with
heart
us.
attack. Oh my god. Okay, cool.
Thank you for troubleshooting that. I know
Oh yeah.
we don't work for Comcast or any telecom, but we got to figure it out. But
Oh yeah.
thank you so
Definitely.
much. Thanks so much for joining us, Cecilia. We appreciate it. We got so much stuff we wanted to get into, but let's start off first, sort of how you got into the comedy game. When we were doing a little bit of research, we were like figuring out that you don't really watch comedy as much. So,
No.
what was some of the? Where did we always ask comedians kind of like what their first like sort of bite or what triggered them to believe that this was the space that they needed to be in. What was it for you?
So I originally wanted to be an actress, and then I did Second City in Chicago for acting. And I hated it. So then, yeah,
What did you hate most about acting? Let's start there.
just the fact that like they're so serious, and they're like, you know what? There's like seven strangers. Let's all talk about our traumas, and then like cry together. And I'm just like, not for me. Rather not. I like to make fun of my traumas. Um, but I ended up doing improv instead. And I loved it so much more than that. And then
Yeah.
after that, I just started taking all their classes. So I did like storytelling, sketch writing, and then the last class that I didn't take was stand up. So like they asked me like who's your favorite stand up comedian or like your favorite comedian, and I didn't even think twice. I was like my dad, and they thought I was being funny, and I wasn't. And then I was like, oh, you guys
Right.
actually meant real people. Like, yeah, because I don't watch stand up comedy like that. So it wasn't until like after I did the whole class, and even that now it's just weird to me because like I don't know, like the whole like dissecting joke thing. So now when I watch it, I'm over here trying to figure out what the punchline is. Yeah, so
does
that kind of
that
like
does
stumbled
that get
into.
annoying? Well, yeah, you can finish
Oh
your
no,
answer
yeah, it
first.
does get annoying. I'm very competitive too, so it's like in my head, I'm like playing my own game of like, where's this going? Like I want to know, I want to finish the joke for them, and then it gets me mad when they don't do it the way I want them to. It's bad.
So it's not enjoyable when people are like, hey, did you check out the new Chappelle or whatever? Like that's
Yeah,
not really having those conversations isn't enjoyable at all. It's not
no,
like
it's
inside
not.
baseball, like you don't
Yeah,
really care.
definitely. I really wish I would have watched stand up before taking the class. I feel like after taking the class, I kind of messed it up for me. And now that I like go and do shows, I'd rather sit and watch a live comedy show than be at home and watch it.
That's interesting. So when you watch it live, does your brain not do the completing the jokes
Yeah,
for
it's
you then?
I enjoy it a little bit more.
Wow.
Hmm.
So would you then go to like a stand-up comic show, like say Kevin Hart is a bad example because he only does stadium tours now, but like say Ali Wong, for example, to you.
That's so funny that you bring up because I will not go to her show. Only because I did a show at Zany's, and she did like a special like secret like pop-up right before my set, and she did a
Unforgivable.
whole 20 minutes, like to the point where she was doing like a question and answers after, like anybody have questions, as I'm like sweating, and then she did like a 10-minute set after. Like I had to follow her. I was like, after that she kind of ruined it for me. Like I can't see her specifically, but anybody else, yeah, I wouldn't mind going and actually seeing them live.
Either what kind of feeling is that like coming after like somebody, or do you try to like leave the stage in such a great place that it makes the person who's preceding you sort of have that same feeling of like shit, I got to follow that? Is
That
that
yeah,
sort of a motivation?
that was the goal. Like my friend was with me, and he told me, he's like, just ride that wave. Like everyone's just so excited that she showed up, and like was just like in that moment. He's like, just stick to what you already know. Like, don't try to go crazy. Just do your set. Like, enjoy yourself. And if you're having fun, they'll have fun. And then just leave it at that. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I didn't do terrible. I did a good job. Like, I held my whole thing, stood my ground.
Kept it moving. Right.
Yeah. So I was really proud of myself because I literally thought I was gonna forget everything. I'm like, oh my god, and just start crying. It was like a whole thing.
One of the funny things that we learned about you is that you have like this phobia of food with bones in it.
Yeah.
What is that about? There was a story we did last year about a woman who also, I don't know the name of the diagnosis, but she can only eat chicken tenders. And I know you were mentioning like in a previous interview, chicken tenders, mac and cheese, and pizza bites. And that's pretty much it.
That's like my 3 main food groups.
Well, how'd that start, or where does that begin at?
You know, honestly, I just thought I was picky, but then with time, like my ex-boyfriend's dad said I'm not picky, I'm just spoiled, and like he wasn't lying. Like my family was like very accommodating. Like they'd make their food and then they'd be like, oh, like she doesn't like any of that. We're gonna make this specific meal for her. So my grandma always had like pizza rolls, pizza bagels on deck, just so that I would not starve. So
yeah, we have a rule in our house called no special menus for the kids.
Yeah.
Like it's like and I come from the school of like if you don't want to eat what everyone else is eating, just eat shit because you're not really hungry.
Right.
So
oh no, I'm spoiled. I am so spoiled. And then the whole bones thing, I don't know what it is. I feel like it just reminds me that I'm eating like an animal. So I just don't like the idea of that, and then it just freaks me out. It's like a mind thing. So
you also mentioned in that same interview that you can't stand seafood, and a lot of seafood, I mean, other than obviously the fish with bones in it, is boneless. So I was curious, what is the most disgusting thing about seafood to you?
That it's in the water. I don't know, because like even that, because I don't even like soup like that. Like it took me a minute to like soup. Like chicken noodle soup, you know, is like a go-to, and that took me a minute because the idea of like meat boiling in water is kind of gross. So like the fact that seafood's in water the whole time, and then I don't know, it's weird. It doesn't make sense, but it made sense in my head, you know. So
are you like terrified of the water? Like you go to the beach and like you're going in, or no?
No, I'd rather not. I have a fear of drowning, so I try my best not to. And then I got really bad motion sickness, so I don't do boats or anything like that. So, yeah, it's crazy.
You don't get any like nerves, like seasick, but not like nerves before a show. Like you don't go throw up in the bathroom like before you do a
no mom's spaghetti.
No, I actually get like. I do get like an adrenaline rush from it, like just like excitement. But other than that, I don't get like scared or nervous. So it's all an experience. If I bomb or if I do really well, it's just another notch on my belt. So I try to take it in that way.
Oh yeah.
You often talk about there was a stand-up that you did that was recorded for a podcast that you were on, and you were like talking about like how you identify as an alcoholic, you're this Modelo queen, that's your vibe, you know.
Hey.
I've been drinking since 5.
Me too.
Does that is that like a real part of like who you're making? Obviously it is, but do you think that's enduring for the audience? They're like, oh yeah, no, she's really committed to this alcoholic life, you know.
Honestly, I don't know if it's the joke that made it worse. Like now I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Now that I'm saying it, you know, I have to be about it.
It's like, become a part of the brand. You just have to incorporate it, even when you're eating chicken nuggets at the house with nobody around. It's just
it's like a habit now.
You're too far gone. Yeah.
I feel like it has a lot to do with like the whole quarantine too, because there was nothing to do in quarantine. So like my drinking habit like skyrocketed. It was ridiculous. And it was just because I had nothing else better to do. So I was like, I'm just going to get really drunk and then buy things off of Amazon with my stimulus, you know? It just made sense. But then like the quarantine ended and like I still have that mentality, so now I'm poor. It's crazy.
Full circle.
Yes.
One of the other things that you mentioned, and I closely identify with this, is that you're part Mexican, you're Puerto Rican, but you don't really claim the Mexican part, and neither do I either. I just don't have any ties or association with the country of Mexico other than I visited once.
Right.
But like I know it's part of my DNA, but I've never met like a Mexican like cousin who was like really authentically Mexican. Everyone that I've met is like American Mexican who's like transitioned and is ascended to more of American lifestyle than that of a Mexican lifestyle. So it doesn't the culture never really caught up with me.
Right.
Is that your case as well?
Yeah, to an extent, like so I live with my grandparents and like we're Puerto Rican as heck, and then like my dad's side, his mother is Puerto Rican, so we're mainly around that family. But
Yeah.
I do have family in like California that like they're like Mexican, like ranch. Like I went over there in October for like a party in a ranch with like horses. That was the most Mexican I felt in my life. I was like, you guys are
Right.
crazy out here. Like, we don't do that, you know? So, but no, I do identify strongly as being Puerto Rican because that's how I was
Yeah.
raised and that's all I know. And even that, like, I work at a diner and, like, all the white people love Mexican food. And I'm like, nah, tostones, bro. Like, you gotta try this. Like,
Right.
yeah, it's like, we're not the same. Yeah.
I feel that.
Another thing you talk about. Well, actually, let's get into what's coming up this weekend. You got a big show coming up. Is it Sunday or Saturday at the Laugh Factory?
Yeah, Sunday at the Laugh Factory at 9
Nice.
p.m. It's the Latin XL show.
What can people expect if they haven't been to that show before? What do you guys do when you throw that down?
It's actually my first time doing that show, but it's gonna be a bunch of Latino comics, so it's nice to support Latin comedy.
Yes.
I feel like there's not a lot of us. There's a few names on there that I know of that are very hilarious comedians, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them again. So that's something that people should look forward to. There's Hillary Jimenez. She's another like Hispanic female comic, which is very rare. We're like unicorns. It's great. So that's but yeah, and even Laugh Factory, it's just a good time, something to do, and it's right before Memorial Day, and everyone's gonna be off the next day anyway, so might as well get drunk beforehand and laugh.
Oh yeah, is that one of your favorite venues to perform at, Laugh Factory, or do you have a favorite venue that you've done so far?
I like Laugh Factory. It's really nice. It's big. And I like Zanies. But I do Zanies in Chicago a lot. So it's more out of like the comfort of doing that show. But I feel like my favorite would be Zanies in Rosemont because they carry Modelo. Very annoying drinking Corona. I can't stay true to my roots.
Yeah, it's not quite the brand.
Yeah, not the same vibe. But it's a good spot.
We often like to try to ask our guests the part of Thursday Thunnies like some just regular things that just make them laugh. And we had like Rob Mayfield, who also spends a lot of time in Indiana, and he told this great story of how like picking up older people as part of his day job and how fucking miserable that is. Is there like what are some just funny things that growing up in Hammond or just like growing up on that part of the state line that you found funny or that you think is funny?
It's so ghetto out here. I feel like I'm so privileged in my head, and then I walk outside, I'm like, oh my god. Like, just going to the store, just the way people dress, the way people act. And even that, like, so the diner I work at, it's like primarily like white people and like suburban people. So it's just funny to see how they act with me and like how they interact. And like I always joke about that too because they'll like speak to me in Spanish and I'm like, I speak English. Like I've been speaking English this whole time. Like when did we lose that? You know? So it's just people. Honestly, people, and that's just anywhere. Just watching them, like you guys are just idiots. It's very entertaining.
Would you say that's a main source for your material? Is just stuff you see on the street around town?
I mainly talk about like my dating life. because it's so
Yeah.
tragic, and
We're aware.
yeah, it just seems like a good go-to to talk about. I feel like everyone has either dated or is single or has dated or is in a relationship but has had dates, so it's like not gonna go out of style. Like we're all gonna have that situation where we can relate to, and then it's just funny because then people that have been in relationships or that have been single, they can hear what I have to say, and then they're like, oh, okay, well at least it's not that bad, you know. So I'm glad I could bring that comfort to them.
Yeah. No, for sure. On the back of that, I actually, because obviously this is a part of your material, you talked about it in other interviews. What is the worst horror date story that you've ever had?
Worst date. Honestly, I want to say it's my first date. My first date ever was the worst, and I should have known from then to stop. You know. But like it was because it was my mom's friend, like my mom's really good friend, like growing up, her son. So already there, I was like, ugh. And then he had to pick me up in her car, and it was like the small car that had like zebra print and pink. So that was weird. And then we went like mini golfing at the mall. It was just awkward and competitive, and I was just like, I don't like any of this. And then like when he had to take me home, his car broke down, and then we had to wait. And then like it took
hold on. Where were you when the car broke down? When like where?
on like a highway, like just there. And then it was like it wasn't like the date was going well, you know. Like it wasn't like this is the guy for me. It was like, when am I gonna get home? And then his dad had to help and pick us up, and I'm like, and I didn't even know the dad, so that was even more awkward. It was just so terrible. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do this again. You know, I don't know what it was, but it was just it was bad. It was bad. He had a tongue ring. I was like, what's going on?
Oh.
Why am I picking these guys?
Well, like our last guest, you know, she was talking about like sort of a heartbreak, and like she makes records, and like that's her sort of outlet. What's your outlet for all these failed relationships?
Is it Modelo's? You can tell us if it's just Modelo's.
It's Modelo's. It is. It's Modelo's and comedy. Honestly, like being able to, and you know, like my biggest thing too is like when I go through something that's like, wow, this is bad. I love the fact that I can tell the guy like, hey, I'm gonna talk about you. Like that's it. Like just so you know, you did this, and it was so bad that now I have to make a joke about it on stage. And the worst part is they're like, can I have a ticket to that show? Like, yes, you can. You know, like, I want you to enjoy it as much as everyone else is going to. So I try to make light out of the situation because it's never that serious, but it's very funny. So I feel like I should just say it, you know?
So is it like a badge of honor for dudes? They're like, oh, you shit on me on stage?
Yeah.
Like, oh, man. Like...
I feel like they do it on purpose at this point. And I'm like, you guys are crazy, but you're helping me out. More material for me. So I'll take it. Just one step closer to my special. It works.
Exactly.
Oh, hell yeah. You also do TikToks on the side. You do a little bit of TikTok comedy alongside the onstage stuff. What would you say the biggest? I don't know. Which do you prefer? I guess is my question, because you're obviously doing a lot of TikToks during the pandemic, but now you're back outside.
Right.
Where's your heart lie?
I like just being out. I hated like quarantine and everything, so that's why I did TikTok, because everyone else was doing it. I'm a very outside type of person. I love to be out and like going to shows and stuff. TikTok was fun, but again, like I said, I got like really trashed, and then I would buy dumb stuff off of Amazon, and then I like made videos about the dumb stuff that I would buy. So that was like my whole thing for like my whole shtick. And then it was like, other than that, it was like whatever trend was trending, and I'm like, I had my 12-year-old brother doing a dance with me. But other than that,
what was the dumbest thing that you bought with Trump and Uncle Joe's stimmies?
Let's see, dumbest thing. I don't know. Everything I bought was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I bought a beer helmet. Who's here? I bought a beer helmet, and it was like a Spartan one, so it had this like big red thing, and it held the 2 beers, and it seemed really cool. Yeah, it seemed amazing. I was super excited. It was the absolute worst. It was like you couldn't move. Like you had to really balance your head, because if you moved wrong, it would tilt all crazy. And then with like the little straws and stuff, I guess the way you would drink it, it was just straight foam. I was very like unimpressed. But it was super cool to look. Like it looked visually, it looked badass. But it just didn't work the way I wanted it to.
Disappointed. I hear your pain. So yeah, I know what you're real. Before we get you out of here, this is one of the questions we often ask comedians, especially when they're doing like South Side, North Side shows. Do you switch it up a little bit based on the audience that you know you're going to be getting, or does everyone just always get the same Cecilia Gonzalez stand-up regardless of like the demographic or age, anything?
I try to stick with the same stuff. Only because like I want my humor to be funny for everyone. So like my goal is to be able to tell my jokes in a way that even if I'm doing it on the north side or the south side, they still get it. Yeah. But I've been in situations where I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna like any of this. So I'd have to kind of like find like raunchier material or try to like make whatever I was talking about more appealing to them.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both.
Word.
Got it. All right, Sam, are we Gucci?
I think we got to everything. I was kind of saving the Ali Wong thing to the end, but we kind of got to it at the beginning. So, all right, real quick before we go, there's another. The last thing I have. You mentioned in another interview, the kids are the worst. Why? Give us that on the sign off.
They're little devils. They take from you. They're disrespectful. They're sticky. You can't do anything. Like, I just don't like them.
You can't drink Modelo's.
You can, but they judge you for it. You know, the only thing they're good for is that when they get to a certain age where you can like send them to get your drinks. That's
that's the greatest, right?
That's
I'm
at that point. You know, when they can do those little things. But sometimes they're ugly, and then you can't say that they're ugly because then people judge you for them. Like that's the whole thing. Just not a fan. Rather hard pass.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
They're great. The oldest now, like he will pop off the top for the beer for me. So, but then I feel really weird. But I feel really weird accepting the beer from him. It definitely does like make me question like how good of a father I am. But you know, I was like, we're just gonna roll with this.
You're teaching him life skills. That's what it is. You're good.
Listen. I don't know where this is going to come in handy. Maybe, he'll be a bar back one day. I have no idea. Right. We'll find out. Cecilia Gonzalez, thank you so much for joining us for Thursday Thunnies. We appreciate you making the time for us. You can catch her over on, you said Latin XL, over on Zane at the Laugh Factory this Sunday night. So go hang out. You don't have to get up, unless you're Sam, Monday.
I have to work. God damn it.
So we appreciate you stopping through. I hope you had a good time.
Thanks, I did.
All right, Cecilia Gonzalez on Weekend at Gabe's, closing us out tonight. This was a fantastic balance because I think it's so funny to hear the contrast of how bad relationships are produce the best work for these two artists, but in separate and meaningful ways.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a fun episode, and we've been getting a lot of ladies through lately, Gabe. We've had a chock full lineup of ladies for almost 2 weeks now, so it's been incredible. It's been incredible out here, and Cecilia, absolutely hilarious. Cassette's still starting out, but is going to be making waves very soon. We're excited about that, and we are off next week, and I'm excited about that weekend game.
There you go, LA. I'll be out there. I got to get some shades. I'm going to be like Cecilia and try to buy like the most goofiest glasses that I think LA people would wear. And then just
listen. If we learn nothing from the LA people that we've interviewed on this show, leather pants and wide brimmed hats, Gabe. This is what they are on out there. So when you come back, if you do not come back in the heat of summer with a pair of black leather pants, then this entire Gabecation has been a failure. And that's how I would like to sign off.
Listen, I found the most outrageous $6 shirt on the Target clearance rack yesterday that is going to kill an LA sun. I'm just saying, when you see it, you're going to be like, God damn, Gabe is right. It's the most egregious fucking $6 shirt that I could find, but I thought it was like the best thing that I could find for the weather that we're gonna be in. There may be some fruit on the shirt. I'm not gonna say, or I'm not gonna confirm nor speculate, but it's gonna be wild. Let me just tell you. So keep a lookout on our Instagram stories next week while we're off. Well, for Gabe's from LA on Gabecation. All right,
Gabecation week.
Yeah, but shout out again for our guest on Tuesday night, Heart Gaze, DJ King Marie. Like I said, we've been killing it. Morgan Gold the week before that. We've been absolutely just destroying it. Ivy Halavana joining us. There's so many great women that have been just killing it and coming through the show from all different practices of art. So yeah, you're right. We've been doing the damn thing.
We've been doing the damn thing, and hopefully we can get some interns back. But for now, America, I have to get out because not only do I have to work on Monday, I have to edit these videos myself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Weekend at Gabe's. Please follow us everywhere at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's in the real Sam Crane, and also the Ghetto Flower, who have their own podcast, the Fresh Flowers Podcast, that you can find on Apple Podcasts, also on their website, and also on YouTube. So please be sure to check out the latest episode with Kalia X and use our code W@, that's the at with the little curly Q, G. 15% off of your next purchase of $50 or more. And it is incredible because you can get that fresh new Ghetto Flower merch, knock that shipping right off the top of that thing.
There you go.
And that's what we do. Because there are three main things that we do on the show, Weekend Gabe. And what are they?
Listen, that we share, support, and show love. All right, hit the house music. We are out.
That's what I'm talking about, America. It's a Gabecation. Follow Gabe on all social medias to stay up with him. Happy birthday to Benny. It was last week, but we're doing it again this week. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not see you next week, but we will see you on YouTube tomorrow morning. And that's what we love to see.
Exactly.
Keep it
all right, everyone.
groovy. Keep it classy.
All right, stay safe out there. Later.
Thank you for watching the latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's on YouTube, brought to you by the Ghetto Flower. Make sure to also click on the links in the description for more information to our guests and access to exclusive new music from the Ghetto Flower and so much more. Make sure to also like and subscribe to the show, and also continue to share, support, and show love by clicking on any of the links surrounding my head. Thanks for watching.